Lights out, we're underway. Motorsport Republic podcast.
Also, back to the race, it was a very strange day for tyres because the undercut didn't really work. I mean, you saw Oscar come in undercutting both Lando and Verstappen and just didn't really make any inroads at all.
And Lando got held up a little bit with obviously that incident with Verstappen.
Yeah, Verstappen.
But he still didn't really make any
Didn't really do anything. And this goes back to where there's a lot of frustration today in the press and, listening to other...
About what?
Why wouldn't they leave Lando Norris out?
Ah.
Why wouldn't you let him out? Leave him out, do another 10 laps on those tyres. The tyres weren't going off because you had Antonelli out front. He was losing a bit of time, but he was still putting good lap times in. Leave him out, pit him. Oscar lets him back pass if he passes him, and then he's going to have 10 lap fresher tyres, go attack Max at the end. I'm telling you right now, if this was Max Verstappen first, and we're back in the days of Mercedes with Bottas and Hamilton, Mercedes would have fucking done some crazy stuff to get past him. They would have pitted Bottas on the 10th lap. They would have put him on soft tyres, got him out in front, slowed him. They would have do some crazy things. But McLaren, they're almost happy to get second and third because all they're thinking about is a construction championship. Someone's going to knock on Zach Brown's head and go, hang on, mate. People don't remember the constructors. They remember the Drivers' Championship. And you won it last year. You need to win the Drivers' Championship this year.
Yeah, 100%.
So you need... This is what... They're happy. They're going to be... They're winning on paper, second and third. How good's that? No. This Max Verstappen, if they get this car right, middle of the year, there's massive rule changes coming in Barcelona from all reports where these flexi wings and things are going to change. If it's going to give Red Bull an upper hand, you have to take the points now while you can. It happened to Red Bull last year. They got the points when they can earlier in the year.
Great call.
And he won the championship. So it's going to cost them again.
Man, that's really well said.
Thank you.
Really well said. That was really
Must
well
be
put.
the endo.
Yeah. This man is high. I've never seen him talk so much. Just throwing out the side of his mouth.
And I'm sure people at home are the same thing. Like McLaren are they gonna balls this up again? Who knows?
Are they too nice?
It has to.
They're too nice.
They did not pit Oscar early enough yesterday for him to do any damage because there was no undercut. Granted, they might have not known that, but they're too afraid of that. The same incident happening in Hungary last year when they were fighting over the radio. They're too afraid of that happening again because they got crucified in the media for it. Crucified. They're too afraid of it happening again. They're probably more than happy to take second and third and have no problems than having a chance of winning and then getting second and third anyway. Leclerc was 10 seconds behind at the end of the race. He was nowhere near it. He was not even in contention. Got to try something different.
Yeah, I agree. They're too nice, and that's the thing. Like Red Bull and Max, and as you said, Mercedes back in the day, they're the ones where you got to have that killer instinct. And I just can't believe how Max is only a point behind.
It's wild, man. It's wild. And you think how fast McLaren were in Australia, whether shocked them into that in Oscar's mistake, and then just dominated in China, and 1 point behind.
You know what it reminds me of, and this is so niche, and our niche listeners will know this. I'm throwing at the World Superbikes for a second, but there was the year Alvaro Bautista came into Ducati. He won the first 10 races.
Yeah, he did.
Johnny Ray came second.
Yes.
And he came third, and he came second, and he came second. He just stayed there. And then Bautista started making mistakes, and Johnny Ray won that title.
I remember that. And I remember that happening because I was like, Johnny Ray has won everything in the last 5 years. Everything. And I'm like, who's this guy? Who's he come in and won every race for the first 10 races? That was why. I think it was more than 10. Was it 12 races maybe? Because you have 3 races a weekend, don't you?
Yeah, unless it was before Super Bowl racing.
Possibly.
It was something like that. But it just kind of hints at something like that.
Yeah.
Where the thing with Formula One is that you hit the nail on the head. Red Bull last year took the points while they could, and then it flipped. And that's
cashed in. They cashed in,
and that's exactly what could happen this year. We could be we could be wrong, and then McLaren runs away with it, but it was just a stunning performance.
Just to leave him, you can't give Max a sniff. You just can't. You have to, the guy had a sniff in qualifying, puts on pole. No one was ever going to pass him.
Yeah, it's just this guy has such a winning mentality.
Yeah, he's
inspirational.
Different. And it was look, that pit stop probably moved over slightly into Lando. Probably moved over slightly, but of course you're going to do that.
Bro, of course you're going to do that. And if he moved a tiny bit. But you can't go off your line.
Can't either, no.
So he had to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And at no point was Lando even side by side with him. He was always a wheel back.
And what's with Lando locking the brakes and running wide in the last corner of the last lap? Like, how's that? Is he doing that so Piastri didn't do a dive bomb up the inside? Like, that's just a strange move for me as well. Yeah. I didn't understand that. Like, you have a chance of actually getting a penalty by cutting the corner and gaining an advantage there, but obviously you slowed down enough. But we had a big conversation yesterday between the three of us because we sat down and watched it with Bandana Man and his lovely partner Margie.
The notorious Bandana Man.
Notorious, infamous. We talked about these mandatory 2-stop races.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And it's a really interesting one. And I think it's probably, looking at it, I think I probably would prefer like a mandatory soft tyre. You have to use a soft tyre on the Grand Prix. Because then it might allow someone to go really long on the hard at the start and then put the soft on at the end. That'd make it really exciting.
That's cool.
But for me, that probably would be there's a real argument for that. I mean, Monaco, they're trying it this year, 2-stop races.
Do you think, just to stay with Monaco for a second, is that going to, in your opinion, do anything?
Oh, I think it has to. Like, it actually has to do something because, like, in previous years, like probably 2 or 3 years ago, these guys are staying out until like 5 laps to go, then pitting. Yeah. The tyres just do not go off.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Ricciardo was won the race without 160 horsepower one year.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance of passing. And the cars are even bigger now. So there's going to be people staying out as long as possible, holding the pack up. Of course there is. But you still got to do two stops.
It's going to be interesting.
So you might have like 10 laps to go. Oh, they're still going to stop twice.
That would be so
imagine
funny.
if they wait till the second last lap, pit, come back out, pit again, come back out and finish the race. Because that could happen.
It's not out of the realm.
It's not out of the realm because no one's going to want to take that risk. So that it's going to be, I don't know what they need they need something.
A mandatory 2-stop, I think, is a great idea. And it doesn't cost them anything.
I personally think at some rounds they should do that.